now goes with us to, sorry? What,
188.
number 188. We now take John Parkin with us, Francis Wilson, to educate others. So we've taken him with us to all our major workshops around the country. And when John presents, these people are all just gobsmacked. We took him to the DBSA, we took him to the Northern Cape, where a lot of officials were totally mesmerized by his work. So John, go for it.
This project is the gas to electricity project, so taking the landfill gas from the landfill sites and generating electricity from it. So it's an environmental project. We're trying to address global warming and, more importantly, the extremes that we are experiencing at the moment. Why are we doing it? Because we actually don't want to change the way we live too much. Durban, I mean, Cape Town's bad enough an hour to get from the airport, and we definitely don't want to interfere with our social lives. This is the first landfill gas project to have to get electricity in Africa, and it's still the only one generating electricity. There are some more operating, flaring off, but there's none generating electricity. When we started this, we were unsuspecting and naive. And we soon learned that it was a bit of a snake pit operating in this field. It was very convoluted and confusing, and some things just don't make sense whatsoever. Anyway, we took our direction from Nelson Mandela, who said that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. And being a coastal city, we're used to taking risks at sea, so off we went. One of the necessities for this project is that you are thick-skinned and single-minded. Some relate that to stupid, but this is now, this is the national animal of consultants, because they also thick-skinned and charge a lot. Okay, in a project like this, you need a champion. You have to have somebody that's going to drive the project.
Natural born landkillers.
Okay, we're talking about Marion Hill landfill site, the Sasa Road landfill site, and that's there. It's called Tongwat there, but it is actually what we call the Lomesi landfill site. Okay, we signed originally with the Prototype Carbon Fund at 3.8 million carbon credits. And we eventually split the project into two because we had a problem getting Environmental Impact Assessment Authority. Because it was a one of a kind, nobody knew how to handle it. The quickest thing for the government is, well, let's just leave it on the table and let people think about it a bit. So the Marion Hill landfill site, these are the closed off areas where the gas is being extracted at the moment, and we'll be moving into these two cells once those are completed. We've got a 1 megawatt engine there, so this is the engine, generates electricity through a transformer and into the grid. So we're generating 1 megawatt of electricity into the grid. Lomesi landfill site, you can see the Indian Ocean. This is the site here, a very small site. It only had a 0.5 megawatt engine. We had some large technical problems here because of the way it was run by Tonga Town Board before we took over the landfill site, and we'll talk a bit about that. Component 2 is our big mama. This is the Sasa Road landfill site in Springfield. You'll see this whole area here now is rehabilitated. This is where we're degassing at the moment. And we're operating in the front here. Okay, when the project started in April 2008, we commissioned these 4 engines. As soon as we started the project, we knew we had more gas than we were anticipating. So in May 2009, the delivery of the new containers started, so we brought in 2 more units. And now, July 2009, we commissioned 6.5 megawatts. So this site is generating 6.5 megawatts continuously. Okay, for those of you CDM, just what you have to go through to get there. So you have to jump through a lot of hoops. The disturbing part is there we started February 2003, and we registered March 2009. So 6-year project. Okay, we're looking at what we think is about 7.8 million tons of methane gas that or carbon credits that we will save from being greenhouse gases. Mercy will fall out, so we're probably going to be in the 6 million ton carbon credit area. We went in-house, we didn't sell the project off. A lot of the municipalities are selling their projects off, so they don't get the benefit of the money at the end, and I'll show you that when it comes to it. But you need a good lawyer, you need a good consultant who knows what's going on, and you need some development and some money, or lots of money. Okay, when things go wrong. The MFMA and the Supply Chain Management Act, they are a nightmare for these type of projects. EIA was a problem. Registration of the UNFCCC is now around about 15 months. From the day you submit, they register you within 15 months. So you wait that length of time if you don't go ahead with the project. And the process is quite costly, but the benefits are also huge. Some of the challenges, lack of expertise in South Africa. We went through some extreme weather. People don't want to share because they think that they're going to be losing out. The consultants especially think they've got something that they can sell and they don't want to share it with you. We had 110 millimeters of rain in 1.5 hours. You must know what that does to your construction program. The Mercy landfill site, we eventually bailed on the Mercy because there's just too much liquid in there. The guys hadn't run the site properly, too much water got into it. We couldn't get the gas out. So we moved the 0.5 meg engine to Bosasa Road. Okay, cost of spares are quite expensive. One spark plug for these engines, 5,000 Rand per spark plug, 20 spark plugs per engine, 7 engines. So you can start working the costs. Oil change is around about 20,000 Rand per engine. We change 5 times a year. Lessons we learned, be wary of experts. You know, an X is an unknown quantity and a spurt is a drip under pressure. Unknown drip under pressure. Okay, running the landfill is as important as the project. The technical side is it's very pedantic. You have to do it, otherwise you don't get paid for it. And then cash flow is also a major problem, which I'll show you quickly. We are still learning. Miracles don't happen, they have to be made. You often feel that you're not in control. It's very frustrating sometimes trying to work with these things. You often feel that you've been outweighed by the bureaucracy. And then some days, hey, let's just go home. But then you think about the money. The sad part about it, this is a guy paying for his lunch in Zimbabwe. It's a true photograph. Okay, how do we support the project? It's the sale of electricity and the sale of carbon credits. This is just to show you, in winter we get paid 1.2 million. In summer we get paid 620,000 Rand, and if we could get refit, we would get nearly 3 million Rand just for the sale of electricity on that project. And that's the challenge that you have. We've spent 65 million up to date, annual operating cost of 8 million. We get paid about 650 a month average. We will get 2.2 million Rand credits. So we're generating about 34 million Rand per annum. 65, you'll pay the project off in 3 years and you'll be making profit. Okay, landfill gas offers a viable renewable energy source. It costs us 57 cents a kilowatt hour. We get paid the average 30 cents a kilowatt hour. So that's where the challenge is, that you don't get money for electricity. We've struggled with the UNFCCC. The EIA process has dragged. We lost 2 years at 34 million Rand. The city of Durban lost 68 million Rand because the government wouldn't make a decision on the EIA. Okay, technical skills. You need proven technologies. We're a long way from Europe and America. Don't pick a technology that needs black boxes and things in it. Use something that can happen. And obviously the exchange rate is influencing the project. When we started the project, we were at €9. We went to 9 Rand to the euro. We went to over 12 Rand to the euro. We back down to 10 Rand to the euro. But the project has still exceeded our expectations. And I hope I've cleared the project up for you.
Thank you very much. That is truly amazing. And the one thing that Queenie shows is you have to spend money in order to generate. The City of Cape Town, spend money in order to generate. You have to take risks. Andre?
Yes, it's a brilliant project. One thing I didn't pick up is how long do these sites last? What's the lifespan of the site in terms of producing electricity?
Nobody really knows. America and Europe have been doing this project for over 15 years now. They haven't run out of gas yet.
In the site, same site?
On landfill sites. We expect it to last at least 15 years. One of the difficulties is we generate electricity much quicker because we are much hotter and we get a lot more rain than Europe. When we were doing the tests, they were telling us your volumes are incorrect. They expect gas production after 18 months. We had it after 3 months. So we expect quick production, but then it will drop off quickly. So we've got to make the money while we can. But 3 years payback, and we'll probably get 10, 11 years of profit.
Sheil, and then Johnny, and then Christina.
Just, John, what's the relationship with Eskom and how, and just the access to the grid? I mean, how has that worked?
Now, well, fortunately, we're a municipality, so we have our own electrical department. So we actually didn't have to deal with Eskom at this stage. Anything under 10 megawatts, they can accept into local grid. If we go bigger than 10 megawatts, you have to go into a substation. But if we get refit tariffs, which is what we're aiming for, we will have to deal with Eskom. And the Eskom agreement for refit tariffs is 127 pages. That's why there are no refit tariffs being paid.
And my last question is just your machinery you use. How much of it is exported and how much of it is locally sourced?
All the civil works is local. So all the drilling of the wells and putting in place, but all those engines are all imported from Austria.
Is there a chance that they could become locally produced?
Look, if it takes off, there's only 7, 8, 11, there's about 15 engines in the country, and we own 8 of them. So unless it dramatically increases, the cost of manufacturing won't be viable.
Johnny?
I just want to ask a question about replicating these things. Just to say it up front, we operate a very similar business in America. We probably have 12 or 13 land sites that we do similar work at, either converting into gas, cleaning the gas, or converting into electricity.
We as in
We as in HCI. Okay, but basically the system as it operates in America is like a very simple system. The municipality will own the landfill. They will sell the gas rights. There will be a public tender. Private companies are invited to come in and say, look, what will you pay for gas rights? And so it's sold off. Private enterprise comes in and buys the machinery, runs it, makes whatever profit they make. The city keeps for itself a cash flow that comes from a royalty on the gas, and they keep for themselves the right of regulating the landfill. Now, that just seems a hell of a lot simpler than a municipality trying to go into business itself at different landfills.
Yeah, a lot of the municipalities have sold off already. So most of them are sold to CEF, unfortunately, because nothing's
That's not
happening.
a sale. CEF doesn't actually do this thing.
Well, they take the project. Ecoleni sold theirs to a Spanish company. So the Spanish company took all the risks. They ran the project. Ecoleni's taking a royalty, whatever that I don't know what that royalty is. So they've run that way. At the time we started in 2003, remember the Kyoto Protocol wasn't even signed in 2003. So we started this project saying we're going ahead. Despite all the difficulties that we know we're going to come to, just put your head down and go for it. And that was the attitude we took. At that time, there was nobody interested in buying the project. So we ran it ourselves in-house. We now have the skills, and you can see the profits that come out of it. Okay, it's been 6 years long, hard road, but the city will profit dramatically from this project. And we're showing the rest of South Africa that you can do green energy, and it's not something that you can't do.
Christina?
As I understand it, there are two streams of income, selling electricity and selling carbon credits. I mean, the majority of, or the biggest chunk is selling carbon credits. So you actually depend heavily on the carbon credit market. So actually you say in 2 years the business is profitable. What happens if the carbon credit market crashes? Or, I mean, you actually depend on it quite heavily, but you don't have influence on it.
Yeah, I think it's a business risk that you take. That's why we struggle. That's why we're pushing for refit tariffs. Once we get refit tariffs, 3 million rand a month, we will make 36 million rand without the carbon credits. So we can gain refit tariffs. We're no longer reliant on carbon credits. Now the carbon credit market at the moment, that gentleman will probably know better than me, but it's in the $30 billion US type thing. So if that crashes, I think we've got a lot more bigger problems than worrying about some of the projects that we're running with.
Graham?
I didn't quite understand. It's a question to Christina more, because I didn't understand the question. Because we're pushing for carbon credits, it's there. Shouldn't we integrate into it? Whereas she's saying, what if it crashes? Well, I'm not quite sure the question.
The majority of the money comes from carbon credits. 2 million rand carbon credits and 600,000 is electricity sales. So it's disproportionately balanced. And I think that was the point that was being raised.
If the carbon credits were to collapse, that means the world's got sufficiently green that it's no longer valuable to sell the credit. So, I mean, like that's a luxury problem that we should all be happy to close this thing down, you know.
Andre?
It's partly also because I think what Johnny introduced is very, very important. And I'm impressed with this project because it's public knowledge. And so maybe, I mean, surely you are generating public innovation, R&D knowledge in a sense, the know-how to do this thing in the country, and that it's publicly available, whereas a private company would be very proprietorial about it.
There's no technology in this.
Well, it's human. It's the soft technology, human
The
technology.
barrier to entry in the business is access to land. Once you've got access to the gas, importing a turbine from Austria or America, wherever it is, absolutely standard thing. There isn't any proprietary technique in it. There may be some skill in tuning the wells carefully or whatever it is, but that's just experience. That's not a proprietary thing. In America, for example, we operate, there are hundreds of these things. They all operate on the same basis. There are many companies that compete for these things. They sell off gas rights for 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is. If there's 30 people trying to bid for it, the price of it all goes up. But there's a calculation somewhere. Obviously, private enterprise makes profits, otherwise we wouldn't do it. But somewhere there's no risk for the regulator, and there's some sharing of profit between the regulator or the city and the private enterprise. It's
Judges, we'll keep this debate forward when we discuss. I think it's a very interesting debate, and we can have it.
I'd like to hear what John has to say about
John,
it, about
would you
keeping knowledge
respond
public.
to Johnny?
Yeah, look, we chose well-known technology. We said we're going simple technology. We're not going gas turbines and other projects that we could have chosen. We thought the spark ignition engine was a simple. We have since learned that it's not so simple because the turbochargers and the cooling systems, there's some technical challenges that we've had to get over. We have 3 guys in Durban Solid Waste now that are fully trained in running those engines and getting the project on the ground. So I think it is a skill that you have to learn. It may not be a proprietary skill, but there's a skill that has to be learned. Nobody else in South Africa or in Africa has done it. And we've been to Mozambique, we've been to Uganda, we've been to Joburg, Cape Town, Port Elizabeth. But most of the big municipalities have sold to CEF, or they've signed agreements with CEF. And
CEF?
Central Energy Fund. And so it's parastatal. And the reason that most of them have done it is they look at, why can't I do the project? And one of the reasons is the Municipal Financial Management Act ties your hands together. The Supply Chain Management Act ties your hands together. You have to go through a holiday hoops and jumping through things to write reports to council saying you can't do a normal tender process. You have to go to special processes. If you're not prepared to do that, then it's not going to happen. So you sell off to CEF, it bypasses the Municipal Financial Management Act, it bypasses the Supply Chain Management Act, and the government does what it, or the parastatal does what it wants to do. But they still haven't got a project in. Port Elizababeth sold 6 years ago. When we were starting,
Why haven't they got a
I can't answer that. Maybe get Mr. Pillay in here and ask him why he's spending so much time in London. I can't.
Sorry, just to say, we've got 4 students at university being paid off this project. So we're training 4 civil engineers on the project now. Before we've even got any money in, we've made the decision to put students.
Thank you, John. Again, thank you for your great presentation, and you proved to us that a grey-haired white engineer can put some humour into landfill.